Calibrate the deep space telemetry arrays, adjust the spectral filters to their maximum frequency, and prepare to witness the absolute collapse of a traditional financial solar system, because a macroeconomic anomaly of unprecedented magnitude is currently manifesting on our monitors. Welcome to the observatory, stargazers. The celestial alert flashing across the primary console is designated XRP alert. Something big is unfolding right now. And if you are currently gazing at the superficial charts, fixated on a completely stagnant orbit of $1.40, you are fundamentally misinterpreting the physical laws governing this universe. The civilian astronomers are looking through amateur telescopes, observing the lack of immediate volatility, and incorrectly concluding that this digital asset is a dying white dwarf star. They feel the agonizing stagnation, experience a profound sense of cosmic isolation, and are preparing to jettison their physical holdings into the vacuum of space. But down here in the quantum observation deck, our gravitational wave detectors are screaming a completely different reality. We are not looking at a dead star. We are observing the terrifying invisible accumulation of mass that precedes the birth of a supermassive financial black hole. The legacy market makers are deliberately utilizing the perpetual futures markets to manipulate the gravitational field, projecting an artificial stasis field over the spot price. They are manufacturing a suffocating illusion of infinite nothingness to exhaust the retail sector. They want the over-leveraged day traders to succumb to the vacuum, break their psychological tethers, and surrender their digital assets for absolute fractions of a penny. The moment a terrified civilian abandons their position out of sheer cosmic boredom, a highly advanced sovereign entity, operating entirely within the shadows of the financial cosmos, instantly absorbs that discarded matter to feed its own insatiable singularity. You have survived the most brutal atmospheric re-entry protocols, enduring the absolute coldest, most desolate cryptocurrency winters imaginable. Do not let the manufactured stillness of the cosmos convince you to unbuckle your safety restraints right before the fundamental laws of gravity are permanently rewritten. The phenomenon is flawlessly unfolding right in front of our lenses, and the artificial stasis field is about to violently shatter as the true mass of institutional adoption collapses inward. The sheer density of capital flowing into this specific coordinate of the financial galaxy is completely unprecedented in modern recorded history. The legacy algorithms designed to suppress this celestial event are currently failing, overheating under the immense pressure of unstoppable global utility. When the final containment parameters inevitably fracture, the resulting supernova of liquidity will completely blind those who refuse to trust the mathematical certainty of their instruments. The cosmic alignment is an absolute reality, and the ignition sequence is already fully underway. Let us redirect our orbital telescopes away from the dazzling, deceptive lights of the public trading exchanges and forensically analyze the invisible, high-density dark matter that is currently warping the very fabric of our financial spacetime. If you want to survive the greatest transfer of wealth in the modern era and successfully navigate this unprecedented intersection of quantum economics and cryptographic technology, you must completely reject the superficial, noisy frequencies broadcasted by the mainstream financial media. The legacy banking cartels are absolutely desperate to maintain their monopoly on global capital orbits, and they are executing a highly classified resource extraction operation right under your nose, shielded from the naked eye. The corporate financial networks are aggressively pushing a completely recycled narrative, falsely claiming that institutional capital has entirely evacuated the digital asset sector due to rising geopolitical temperatures and localized political gridlock. But let me tell you a fundamental, undeniable scientific truth about surviving in this ruthless digital cosmos. If you rely on reused, copy and pasted strategies fed to you by the very entities actively trying to harvest your energy, the algorithmic systems governing this universe will ruthlessly demonetize your portfolio and permanently bankrupt your future. You must forge a completely original conviction based on hard, undeniable, on-chain ledger telemetry. If we bypass the public monitors and audit the highly encrypted data streams emanating from the United States spot exchange traded funds, a glaring, multi-billion-dollar structural anomaly immediately illuminates the spectral radar. The monolithic financial titans commanding these heavily fortified investment vehicles, sovereign entities like Bitwise, Canary, and Franklin Templeton, have quietly accumulated an absolutely staggering stockpile of over $1.3 billion in physical cryptographic assets. How does a celestial body of that magnitude move over $1 billion of pure, concentrated fiat mass into the digital ecosystem without violently triggering the public exchange alarms and launching the spot price into an uncontrollable upward trajectory? The answer lies in the highly secretive, completely unregulated subterranean dimensions known as over-the-counter dark pools. These massive sovereign asset managers are not walking into the brightly lit public markets to execute their multi-billion-dollar acquisition orders. because doing so would instantly detonate a massive price explosion and permanently destroy their carefully calculated covert accumulation margins. Instead, they are utilizing localized liquidity mercenaries to systematically absorb the discarded tokens of every panicked retail investor who succumbs to the crushing pressure of the artificial bear market. They are silently hoarding the physical float inside these dark pool nebulae, mathematically locking away the circulating supply before the massive macroeconomic liquidity wave officially makes landfall and shatters the public exchanges forever. The unseen mass is actively bending the light around it. Push the thermodynamic telemetry scanners to their absolute maximum capacity and focus directly on the core cryptographic fusion reactor powering this entire decentralized network, because the engineering genius of this enterprise engine is exactly what the legacy institutions are actively weaponizing to secure their future existence. The civilian traders completely misunderstand the fundamental particle physics of this ecosystem. They mistakenly believe that the financial valuation of this network is solely dependent on amateur day traders buying and selling physical tokens based on erratic emotional sentiment and fleeting social media rumors. They have completely failed to anticipate the explosive parabolic scaling of Ripple's enterprise stablecoin infrastructure, which is currently acting as a massive, unstoppable kinetic burn mechanism deeply embedded within the network's subatomic architecture. In the span of just a few short months, the RLUSD network capitalization has violently expanded past the $1.5 billion threshold. We are no longer tracking the erratic, unpredictable behavior of retail speculators. We are tracking Fortune 500 corporate treasuries and massive legacy banking syndicates aggressively hardwiring their cross-border liquidity operations directly into the Ripple framework to escape the archaic, expensive, and devastatingly slow friction of the dying global banking system. But here is the ultimate tactical secret that the institutions are desperately trying to conceal from the public eye. The XRP ledger functions as a frictionless, high-velocity digital superconductor, and RLUSD is merely the heavily armored commercial energy packet traveling directly through its core. In order to successfully authenticate, validate, and execute these massive corporate stablecoin transfers across international banking corridors, the base protocol irrevocably mandates the permanent combustion of XRP as cryptographic fuel. The stablecoin does not replace, usurp, or compete with the native asset. It acts as a massive, industrial-grade accelerant for its underlying mathematically programmed burn rate. Every single time a multinational corporation executes a multi-million-dollar cross-border settlement utilizing RLUSD, a fractional percentage of the native token is automatically incinerated by the network code, permanently erasing it from the historical circulating supply. This is equivalent to a stellar engine mechanically consuming its own mass to generate infinite energy. My predictive models are closely tracking this mechanical demand vector, and it is operating with flawless, algorithmic precision entirely independent of human emotion, political gridlock, or temporary geopolitical fear. The network is systematically incinerating the native supply, while Wall Street desperately attempts to hoard the remaining physical float inside their encrypted dark matter vaults. This is the exact cryptographic formula for an unprecedented, violent supply shock that perfectly aligns with the master celestial blueprint. The fusion sequence has officially achieved critical mass. Expand the intergalactic reconnaissance grid to encompass the entire global macroeconomic theater, because the momentum triggering this massive infrastructural transition originates on a highly synchronized international scale that completely dwarfs the localized conversation happening within the domestic borders of the United States. A master astrophysicist understands that the total domination of a new financial infrastructure requires the complete systemic alignment of the old world sovereign galaxies, and the phenomenon actively unfolding right now accounts for this exact universal convergence to maintain absolute unipolar stability. While the domestic civilian sector is completely mesmerized by the minor political skirmishes in Washington, D.C. and the temporary agonizing price suppression on their mobile trading applications, our international observatories have intercepted critical paradigm-shifting frequencies from the highest echelons of European and Asian financial syndicates. Weeks ago, we empirically confirmed the highly classified infiltration of Ripple Prime into the National Securities Clearing Corporation directory under the undisputed center of gravity of Wall Street, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. That precise orbital maneuver effectively hardwired the decentralized ledger directly into the absolute beating heart of the American traditional equity settlement citadel, ensuring that the legacy fiat system is fundamentally tethered to the XRP ecosystem. But the new, incredibly urgent intelligence that confirms the massive impending cosmic collision is an unprecedented European and Asian convergence designed to integrate directly with this new digital standard. We have verified that Société Générale, the titanic French financial institution commanding nearly $2 trillion in global assets, has officially activated its MyCA-compliant euro stablecoin directly on the Ripple infrastructure. Concurrently, the Japanese banking leviathan SBI Holdings has successfully deployed a massive blockchain-based corporate bond specifically designed to reward traditional retail investors with physical XRP. When trillion-dollar sovereign banking entities voluntarily integrate a decentralized cryptographic ledger into their core operational machinery to settle corporate bonds and stablecoin transfers, it mathematically guarantees a tidal wave of future utility volume that will absolutely overwhelm the current algorithmic suppression. The sudden violent jumps in trading activity you see are the market algorithms desperately attempting to price in this massive international adoption before the retail sector realizes the global perimeter has already been fully breached. The legacy fiat architecture is actively crumbling under its own inflationary debt spirals, the central banks are being forced to inject massive waves of fresh capital, and the digital replacement is fully operational. The galactic alignment is completely locked into place. Download the final orbital trajectory parameters directly into your personal navigation matrix immediately, because identifying the sovereign manipulation and deeply analyzing the massive structural reality revealed by this cosmic anomaly is absolutely, entirely useless if you are permanently trapped within the collapsing gravity well when the extreme volatility finally strikes. We have empirically proven the covert dark pool accumulation by the billion-dollar exchange-traded funds, the exponential utility growth of the RLUSD fusion engine, the massive DTCC systemic integration, and the colossal international banking deployments successfully executed out of Europe and Japan. So, what is the ultimate mathematical destination of this digital asset when the global liquidity cycle officially peaks, the universal alignment is finalized, and the algorithmic containment field is permanently shattered? Highly classified macroeconomic risk assessments, continuously refined by elite quantitative astrophysicists at Tier 1 institutions like Standard Chartered Bank, have established a mathematically grounded baseline target of $8 per token for the conclusion of this specific celestial cycle. To the uninitiated civilian observer, currently psychologically traumatized by months of agonizing artificial suppression, an $8 projection sounds like impossible, utopian science fiction designed merely to generate false hope and trap retail liquidity. But to the elite navigator who understands the absolute mathematical certainty of a violently constricting physical supply curve colliding head-on with exponential institutional utility bandwidth, an $8 valuation is merely a highly conservative orbital waypoint on the journey to total structural dominance. However, you cannot successfully navigate this high-stakes digital wealth transition without a ruthlessly disciplined, completely emotionless framework. Human greed, impatience, and panic are the ultimate fatal vulnerabilities when attempting to achieve escape velocity from a dying financial star. I strictly mandate the immediate implementation of an automated execution strategy known as the Thirds Protocol. When the network price violently shatters the historical all-time high resistance parameter of $3.84, you must automatically execute a tactical payload release and sell exactly 33% of your holdings. This unemotional maneuver secures a complete absolute recovery of your initial fiat capital deployment, instantly transforming the remainder of your digital portfolio into pure, stress-free profit. The secondary operational tranche is programmed to ride the algorithmic liquidity wave toward the $8 institutional target zone, serving as your ultimate liberation vehicle out of the fiat solar system. The final tertiary portion must be securely encrypted and locked in your deepest cold storage vault. Secure your keys, trust the mathematical trajectory over the television pundits, and execute your survival strategy flawlessly. The countdown is complete. The final ascension phase begins right now.